I'm Euro.
I'm Chris.
I'm Eric.
And this is Fork Bomb.
Wednesday, November 7th, 2018. Episode 24, ReactOS. How have you guys been?
Pretty good, man.
Pretty good, you?
Okay. Well, I know it's been a while since we've done the last podcast, and so I wanted to apologize to everybody, but life gets in the way. But we always do try to at least make one podcast episode per year, apparently. But we're getting there, guys. Sorry, we're gonna try to do a better job at this. But yeah. So hopefully you guys like this topic. I know I am okay with this topic. It kicked my ass, so that's, and I'll save the rest for the remainder of the podcast. But anyway, Chris, Eric, I know you guys also tested out ReactOS, and we have a bunch of stuff to say about it. So,
well, have you mentioned that we're talking about ReactOS?
Yeah, episode 23, ReactOS.
Oh yeah, maybe we should say what it is first.
Right. Well, okay, so ReactOS is a free and open source operating system for x86 and x64 personal computers, intended to be binary compatible with computer programs and device drivers made for Windows Server 2003 and later versions. What that means is pretty much a knockoff of Windows, well, at this point it'd be Windows 2003, although you could kind of say it's Windows XP. It is a pretty good knockoff as far as operating systems are concerned, and it seems to be in alpha state for the past lots of years. But it is free and open source.
Knockoff isn't the right term, though. It's an actual clone. It's not designed to be like Windows. It's designed to be completely binary compatible with Windows programs. So you download and run something made for Windows, it's supposed to run as you would expect it to under Microsoft's proprietary operating system. That's their goal.
Okay, that is a better definition of it. However, if I was in in one of those shady markets, and I found a laptop over there that was dirt cheap, and it just happened to have Windows on it, or quote unquote Windows, it'd just be an operating system that I thought was Windows, and they would say, yeah, it comes with Windows, and then I buy the laptop, and it turns out it's not Windows, but I thought it was. I would feel like it was a knockoff. However, I totally get your definition, and yes, you were right.
Well, it's a good thing that it can barely run on actual hardware, so that will never happen to you.
Let's hope it just stays in alpha then.
But I guess we should discuss the why does this exist, a little bit of the history, and how does it do what it's doing. So I guess I'll start with the why. Its purpose, it has several purposes. One is to free people from the licensing and restrictions that Microsoft puts on their operating system. But say that you have some programs that absolutely have to run on Windows that you can't get away from. We've all been there. This provides a maybe viable alternative for you. Also, as Microsoft continues to push newer and newer versions of Windows, Windows 7, Windows 8, Windows 10, Windows 10 Fall Creators Edition, Windows 10 Hannah Montana Edition, whatever, it might break compatibility with some older programs that you still rely on. This could provide a way for you to continue to run those older programs. And it would also be good for, say, countries and governments that don't want to, that have security concerns around using software from the United States. This gives them a free and open source way without those concerns to continue to run the programs that they already have written for Windows.
So, okay, I need to, why? Let me backtrack a little bit. Okay, so people use Wine under Linux, which is not emulation. And why would you run ReactOS when you could run Wine for any number of Windows binaries or Windows applications?
Because Wine will not be as... Actually, Eric, do you want to take this one?
Well, Wine does have some limitations, but, like, for example, there's still no USB support in Wine, and if you use a software that requires USB, you're pretty much out of luck. But Wine does run things natively in Linux by intercepting system calls. So it doesn't actually work with drivers, it just basically works at the software level only.
Right. And ReactOS is not intercepting system calls. It is being Windows. There is no translation going on.
Right.
But the interesting thing is, how is it being Windows? I guess we should mention it also looks and functions just like Windows. Like Windows XP or Windows 2003 for the most part. They have nearly fully, and with a very large degree of accuracy, re-implemented the entire Windows interface with a few ReactOS specific extras. But how they're doing it, the thing is, they can't simply just clone Windows, at least at the source code level. It's proprietary software, so they can't use any original Windows code. So for the past 16 years or so now, they have been re-implementing it. And Eric, correct me if I'm wrong, please, but the way that they are doing that is Windows has an API. You send a specific request to the operating system's API, which is fully documented. Stuff happens under the hood, it returns an expected result, and then your programs write to that Windows API. So what they've done is they've copied the Windows API, but everything behind it, they've rewritten and re-implemented from scratch.
Yep, that's pretty much accurate.
With some help from the Wine project, because they have used some parts of the Wine project to do what they're doing.
So, as of this moment, the operating system resembles more Windows 2003 than anything else, and Windows XP. I'm just wondering, since it's been in development for so long, I mean, we're talking about decades here. What is it? Started sometime around 1986. So we're talking
96.
about decades here. I'm just wondering if there's ever a time that React is going to actually catch up to later versions of Windows, like maybe Windows Vista, Windows 7. Yeah, I'm just wondering if there's ever a plan to do that.
No, that's not his goal.
So, my next, I guess, question would be: Is ReactOS going to be as compatible as Windows 7 then, with Windows 7 built apps, or is it just fully compatible with Windows 2003 binaries, things like that? So, if that were the case, then it would be hopelessly lost in, I think, in obsolescence. And I don't mean to be like the downer here or anything like that. I really want ReactOS to just kick some ass and chew some bubble gum, and they're all out of gum. But I don't know how to say it any other way. I mean, ReactOS is a great idea, but it just seems to be falling behind the times. And again, I'm not even the one programming this, so kudos to them. Very talented engineers and everything like that. But I'm just wondering, is ReactOS ever going to get to the point where it is a fully capable operating system, a fully modern capable operating system that people could potentially run? And if that's not the point, then maybe the point is just to run older software on Windows XP. And if that's the case, then what if Microsoft at some point decided to say, well, we're going to open source Windows XP now. You guys can take a look and do whatever you want with that. It is now deprecated. It is old code, and here you go. And then ReactOS would be screwed. I mean, they could grab all the open source stuff all they want, but then at that point, it's like, well, why not just run Windows?
Microsoft will never open source that much of their operating system. Too much of that still exists in modern versions of Windows.
Yeah, I guess
Yep.
I guess you're right. I mean, in that they just not recently, but a while ago they open source, what was it, DOS 3 or something like that. Some really old version of DOS. So I guess it would take eons for them to open source something like Windows XP. But anyway, so ReactOS existence is in jeopardy if Microsoft ever decided to do that. Cool. Okay. Well, should we continue with the story? I just went off on a dark tangent.
That wasn't so dark.
Twilight.
Well, let's. I'm reading through the FAQ a bit and trying to find where they say what their purpose is, because I was really talking
Their mission.
off the cuff there. Where the hell is it? But from my experience, I've been following it for a few years now, and that seems to be pretty much what they do, and they have no plans of really catching up to Vista or 7 or any of those.
Its continuing mission to explore strange new. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, you guys want to continue talking about history?
Yeah. ReactOS started in 1996, originally under the name FreeWin95. Its goal was to clone Windows 95. That never got off the ground. It got resurrected in 1998 with the goal of duplicating Windows NT. The term ReactOS was coined during a chat in IRC. While the term OS stood for the operating system, the term React referred to the group's dissatisfaction with and reaction to Microsoft's monopolistic position. So they combined them.
And so, you see what I mean? They first started out with Windows 95. Okay, screw it. Let's build around Windows NT. And then, okay, screw it. Let's build around Windows XP. That's just what I'm saying. At some point, they're just gonna have to say, okay, screw it. Let's build around Windows 7.
Will they though?
Well,
I don't know.
If you think about it at a different perspective, Windows XP technically was a version of Windows NT. So is Windows 2003 and Windows 2006 and even Windows 7 and Vista and what's current, 10. So they're just basing it off of the Windows NT technology.
I see your point, sir. That is true.
Which was actually probably a good that's a very good way of going, too, because otherwise they would have been left in the back.
Well, it works because Windows NT encompasses all those operating systems. I don't know if they just meant, at the time in 1998, what was around? Windows NT 4? So I don't know if they just meant Windows NT 4,
Yeah.
Something like Windows NT 4 server, workstation. But anyway, yeah, you're absolutely right. I think Windows XP is 5.1, I believe, Windows NT. Anyway, so yeah, I mean,
yes.
So if you do call them all Windows NT, I guess that's true. Well, some interesting little tidbit about the history or about the OS itself, and to your credit, Chris, when you mentioned about other countries not wanting to use Microsoft licenses because they may not trust an American OS or something like that. So there has been public demonstration of the OS that has been given to several Russian political figures, and I'm going to butcher this guy's name, his last name at least, Viktor Aksynis, Dmitry Medvedev, which was a president.
Viktor Alexnes.
Whoa, Alexnes. It sounds like a heavy metal band.
Yes, Viktor Alexnes.
Dmitry Medvedev, which was the former president and current prime minister, and Vladimir Putin. So yeah, I guess they would be interested in using an OS like this. Although if I was I don't know, man. Ubuntu's looking pretty good right now. But anyway, I digress. If they have some obscure Windows application they need to run.
Oh, don't get me wrong. I'm always going to
I think it
advocate
was actually
using Linux
pronounced-
for anything and everything. But let's
Oh yeah, definitely.
let's look at it from another point of view. Let's say you're a small government, what you have on hand are Windows developers. There's no way in hell you're going to get them to learn how to use anything Linux related. But you do not trust Microsoft. You're sick of paying Microsoft licenses.
Yep.
This would be a way to continue to use that skill set and still have those developers be useful to you. Might not be ideal, but
True.
if you just wanted a drop-in replacement, something that could be workable for some custom piece of software that you have developers writing for, it'll be much easier to get them to get it running on this than it would to rewrite it for a different operating system.
I mean, I'm on board if it's a really obscure piece of software
random
or
idea
some
for
sort
you.
of medical equipment or something like that where it absolutely runs on just that OS. I get it, you know? It makes perfect sense. And it has hardware calls because you can't use Wine or anything. It's got to be the OS itself. So, you know, I totally get it, you know, or a bank that uses some sort of, I don't know, relay system that is very old and they don't want to rewrite their code.
Yep.
Well, I got a random thought that could possibly come from all this. Imagine, I mean, they have a Windows XP specific for the England Navy, and they have it, and it's called literally Windows XP for warships. Imagine if they redid that with ReactOS for warships.
It would crash. I mean, yeah. What if we
And
did that?
I would not want to trust this operating system in battle. No.
That's true.
Man, we're going to have some ReactOS
But that was a really
developer
interesting
listening
concept
on
if
this.
they could get it rock solid.
Yeah. We're going to have some ReactOS developer listening on
The
this.
funny thing is that they could.
Yeah.
I mean, the military could fix it. They have the source.
Unlimited funds.
They could, yeah. Well, we should talk about using it.
Well, we do have some pros and cons list. I would be happy to take the cons. Just because I wrote them all weird, not because I'm happy to take cons or anything like that, but I just, I didn't write them right. But yeah, we had some experience. We used it. We used it on virtual machines. I think, Chris, you tried to install it on bare metal, right?
Yeah, it wouldn't even so much as boot, but that was on an old machine. It for some reason it wasn't able to work with the bootloader, which is called Freeloader. But really, it's mostly designed to run in a virtual machine right now.
Okay. I went a little nuts.
That's how it's been running for me.
Yeah. I went a little nuts and I added
go ahead.
3 cores or 4 cores. I wanted to see how badass I could make this ReactOS. So I added, I think it was a quad core with 8 gigs of RAM. Really, it didn't make a difference.
Well, that's because the kernel doesn't know how to work with multiple processors yet.
Yeah. Were you saying something, Eric? Something about, I don't know. I barely heard it.
Oh, I was just saying that I've been running it only in a virtual machine and giving it basically just one CPU core and a gig of memory. But unlike you guys, I think y'all were running it in VirtualBox. I've been running it in KVM.
Is what we're hearing through the audio chat coming from your main mic or from your webcam? Because you sound really far away and muffled.
Coming from my... How about now?
No. I mean,
No?
It's fine if it's coming from your webcam. I just
No?
want to make sure you're not sounding like that in the recording.
Oh, no, it should be coming straight from my mixer.
Then you sound far away and muffled.
That's what it's selected.
Oh,
That's really weird.
I guess I'll just work with it. No big deal.
Let's move ahead.
Moving ahead.
All right. Well, yeah. So we did install it on various. I guess Eric, you mentioned you installed it on KVM. Chris and we installed it on virtual boxes. I wonder if our experience was different. Actually, I know, Chris, you had pretty good luck with it. I didn't have as good luck with it. Eric, were you? Did you have any issues with it using KVM?
Actually, I didn't. And yeah, with KVM, it's been rock solid.
Man,
I haven't even had a crash yet.
Oh, I certainly had a lot of crashes. That's for sure. So it's, like I stated previously, it's just like Windows. If you know how to use Windows, you know how to use this. But while it can be very unstable at times, it's extremely impressive because of what they're doing. I mean, yes, we can say it's been in development since 1996. Why is it so buggy? But let's look at what they're doing. They're duplicating as much as they can a completely proprietary operating system. And that is no easy task. So yeah, it will take a lot longer. There may be some things that they never ever get right. But
Yeah.
They probably have a...
With how well it's working right now, it's very impressive. It still does a lot of things. It still runs a lot of Windows programs. And they've added some things on top of it that is truly their own, that makes it equally more impressive. For example, something that Windows is lacking that most open source operating systems have is an actual package manager.
That is nice.
It has the ReactOS
yes.
application manager with a whole bunch of programs that are known to work with ReactOS. It has drivers for VirtualBox's sound card. It has the Microsoft Visual C++ redistributable packages that a lot of programs require. Right there, easily accessible. You don't have to open up a web browser at all. It knows how to install them. It has Git. It has Audacity. It has LibreOffice. It has a bunch of stuff in there. Not all of it works. A good chunk of it does. But it makes things much more accessible than having to go from website to website to website, downloading, clicking the exe. So that's pretty cool.
Well, we can assume that at some point they will work. So at some point, all these issues are going to go away, and the operating system will just rock. Some things that I liked was that it's really fast to boot. I mean, even on a single core, it's incredible. And Chris, you and Eric, you and I, we both saw Chris updating ReactOS to the latest version, and it took like no time at all. So that was just awesome.
A few minutes,
yeah,
at best.
Absolutely. It has incredibly little footprint. I mean, it consumes very little memory and disk space. I think the entire ISO was something like north of 120 megabytes. I mean, that's incredible. Even in back then standards, I remember Windows being at least a full 600 megabytes. So for 120 megabytes, that's pretty impressive. And yeah, man, that application manager store is pretty good. Although I guess now they have that Microsoft store for Windows 10, but it doesn't look anything like the typical application stores that we are used to in the Linux world. While the one in ReactOS looks very much like that. So besides that, and installing a bunch of different Windows applications that what it does support, it supports it. I mean, what it can support. So there's that.
And the official Microsoft Windows Store would not have barely any open source software in it.
Sure. Yeah.
That's true. Yeah.
Well.
By the way, am I sounding better?
Nope.
No?
Nope.
Dang it.
Sounds like you're talking through a wet towel.
Okay.
I think at this point, I mean, we're kind of halfway through this thing.
Yeah, and
if he fixes it now, it's gonna sound.
I'm honestly not even editing any of this stuff out, so let's just keep going.
we're gonna have microphone talks in the middle of it.
Yep, pretty much.
Great.
I'm gonna spend a maximum of 30 minutes editing. Like this, what I'm saying right now, I'm not even editing this out.
Hey, so everybody just grab a beer and relax and just hear us rant.
Yep, pretty much. This time they're getting the full experience.
The full Monty. I had a whole list of cons, but now you're making me feel bad about even having cons, Chris.
Well,
I don't even want to say the cons.
The cons are well earned.
Well, I know, but it's like 3 guys working on this.
I'll tell you what. Why don't you go through the cons, and then after that we'll go through the version that was just released not but 1 or 2 days ago, which addressed some of those cons pretty well.
Okay, here we go. All right, so I had audio issues. I rebooted several times. I tried installing the recommended drivers for VirtualBox. I even tried putting the drivers in the ReactOS folder on the root of my C drive. I would never do that, but whatever. For the sake of science, I did it, and it still didn't work. So the only way that I actually had audio work is, Chris, you actually sent me your virtual drive file, and then I surprisingly had audio after that. So that was one of those annoying things.
To address that one, there was a magic incantation for that. One was to follow the instructions in the VirtualBox ReactOS wiki guide, which was to put them in C:/ReactOS when you install them through the application manager.
Yep.
And then that's weird. What they didn't tell you was that you have to reboot about 5 times before it'll start working.
That must be the part where you recite a chant.
Oh, fun.
Yep. Oh, and a funny thing, another con. While you were saying that, I was in the middle of installing all of the Microsoft Visual C++ redistributable library packages. One of them that I selected was Microsoft Visual C++ 6 redistributable package. It downloaded a version in German, so that was interesting.
Oh, well, you didn't know? In the ReactOS website, it says you must learn German to use it. No, I'm kidding.
They must have wrote that part in German. Totally missed it.
They wrote that in German. We speak German in German. All right. Well, I had another one. Unless, Eric, did you have any? I guess you had no negative experiences. You have the golden version that all the engineers want.
Well, I wouldn't say that. I mean, I did try to run some third-party software that wasn't in the package manager, and that didn't work so well. I actually went and tried to download and install Apple iTunes because I have an iPhone that I wanted to see if I could actually get it to work with. And I got through the entire installation process, but at the time of actually running the program, iTunes just simply would not start.
Maybe an older version of iTunes would work.
Didn't crash, but maybe. I hadn't tried that, but trying to get an older version of iTunes is like plucking hairs from a yak.
And the first thing it's going to want to do is update.
They don't really like it very much.
Yeah, it probably won't even let you run it unless
True.
you update. All right. Well, I got another one.
That's pretty much right.
I got another one. So, part of that incantation that Chris was talking about, and some magic, chants and stuff like that to get it to work right. On VirtualBox, you must select the PCNet Fast 3 network adapter under Advanced Settings. I, of course, did not read that at first, and I was just complaining the whole time until I went, and I think, Chris, you told me about that because you read it. So that is my fault. I didn't read. But whatever. That was just something that that happened. It's as we said, it's buggy. It half crashes when you try to launch a screensaver. At least it did to me. And then you have one part of the screen frozen, the other part is not frozen, so you could still kind of work on half of your screen. Literally, it won't redraw the other half because the screensaver's stuck. So if you can somehow try to work with 50% of the screen, but if you want to shut down or use the start button, you can't because the screensaver's in the way, then have at it and good luck.
It has a screensaver?
It has a screensaver.
I was wondering about that because I've never seen the screensaver.
Yeah, there's a screensaver option. If you hit preview,
oh yeah, there it is.
Luck. Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna
Did
do
it
it.
crash?
I'm gonna do it.
I'm gonna do it.
I mean, it's already busy crashing on something else right now, but let's see. Screens up. Okay, screensaver. Oh wow, we have 3D text, blank screen, butterflies, circles, cylinders, fractal.
Run the 3D text.
Login, matrix, maze, screensaver, and star field. But it froze up on something else I was doing, so I've got to reset. It freezes a lot.
I don't know. I think I got that golden version. because I'm actually running those. Like I did a screensaver test on preview on the cylinders fractal, which is a GL, and I hit the preview button, and it's really
worked?
cool. It's full screen.
Hit
and
escape.
I move the mouse, and it recovers completely.
Hey, yeah, Cylinders Fractal looks nice. Okay, hit escape. That worked. 3D text.
Yeah, that's working great.
Preview. Oh, nope. Oh, there. It's frozen again. Wait, no. Come on. Oh my god.
You know what? You know what it is? I'm gonna relabel ReactOS, or not gonna relabel it. I'm gonna add a little slogan in the bottom, and it's gonna say ReactOS, the fun OS. It's like playing a game.
Yeah, so I can no longer drag the display properties window. The screensaver is still showing the preview, but everything else is just frozen.
Ah, see? Told you.
I can bring up the start menu sometimes.
I'm telling you, somehow Eric got the golden version.
Here we go.
He came back from the future. He didn't get a lottery ticket or anything like that to win $1 million. No, he got a copy of ReactOS and its full edition.
You got a raw deal, Eric.
Well, I am having a really interesting problem right now. You know, the maze one. It has that whole green line that keeps drawing around the maze. Well, it's drawing on the desktop somewhere, showing the preview window.
Yeah,
the whole. Oh, yeah, it's weird. So not perfect.
What file system are you running it on, Eric?
Actually, FAT.
Oh man, hit reboot about 5 times.
well, yeah, that is not a journal file system. But should mention, while we're on the topic of cons, so one con up until very recently, in fact, let me see when that was released.
November 6th, right? Yesterday.
Yes, yesterday. So up until yesterday, FAT32 was your only option for file systems on ReactOS. The problem with FAT32 is, one, there are no real permissions built in. Just everyone has access to everything. 2, very unstable if it cannot handle things like being shut down improperly, and it has a 4 gigabyte maximum file size. It is 4 gigs, right, Eric? Or Euro?
I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's 4 gigs.
So, yesterday, they released ReactOS 0.4.10, and it supports formatting and booting from BTRFS, also known as BetterFS, also known as ButterFS. And that is a file system from the Linux world. And it has many useful features built in at the file system level. Of course, it has journaling. It has the ability to have built-in snapshotting, deduplication. And I don't know if you would call it a feature, but the tendency to destroy all of your data at random. Last time I tried it, but that's neither here nor there. But it is definitely better than FAT32, and ReactOS uses it. And this whole time we've been talking, I've been playing with it on ButterFS. I've forcefully reset it about, 12 times now. It has not had to do a single file system check. There's been no indication of file system corruption. In that respect, it has been much more solid. And one thing that this might save them from, you know how Windows has volume shadow copy for taking backups of your file system that you can revert to now and then?
Yeah.
Well, ButterFS has built-in snapshotting at the file system level, so now they won't have to implement volume shadow copy. They can use ButterFS snapshots.
Oh.
True.
Well, I heard ButterFS is pretty good at scaling. It also supports RAID, so not too bad there. That must be the version that Eric's running. No.
Which version are you running, Eric?
Actually, the current one, actually.
10?
4.10. Or 0.4.10. Yeah.
They also implemented a few stability fixes. They
Bug fixes,
added some changes to the Windows shell. One feature that I think they made way too much fuss over was the ability to change folder icons. But, I guess somebody worked hard on it, so good for them.
Come on, you worked on it for free.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, and it has window tiling and cascading now.
There you go. See. All right. Well, going back to the cons and some of the encounters that I had. So it crashed often. It crashes often when you reboot. As far as for me, I had the FAT32 file system installed. So every time after I rebooted about 2 or 3 times, then you had to go through the check disk portion. And this was every single time. And if you reboot enough times, the file system will get corrupted. And then you have to sit through check disk for a long time. Chris and I, remember Chris, we were talking for a while and it just kept going and going. And pretty much it was all hosed, all corrupted. I took a screenshot of it. And yeah, that's after you reboot about 2 or 3 times that you get to start getting the check disk, at least on FAT32 version. So I'm very glad that they implemented a different file system. That's great. And yeah, absolutely right. No NTFS support. So only FAT and now ButterFS is supported. Well, another con for me was that some of the applications in the application manager, although the application manager is really cool and really easy to install apps from, some of the links are dead. Like if you try to, at least we tried at the time, that was probably about a week and a half ago, when we tried to launch Audacity, to install Audacity, we actually, Chris, weren't you gonna use ReactOS to record this show?
Yeah.
Oh man.
Well, no. I was going to use it to edit the show, and while Audacity does run, it freezes and locks up, and it's very slow. So, when we try to install Audacity from the application manager, the links are dead. So, there's that, and some of the applications are actually outdated. So, I don't want to say this is against the engineers or anything like that, but maybe it could use a little bit of cleanup on the application manager side. So there was that point. Also, did I mention audio driver issues? So check it out. Audio was working, then it stopped working. It started working again only after a few more hard reboots. So that whole thing about where you had to reboot about 5 times and it'll start working? Well, in my case, it would be working and then it would just stop working for no reason. So you had to reboot a few times and it'll start working again. That was interesting.
Well, at least you got sound working. That's the one thing I didn't actually get working.
Did you reboot 5 times?
And say a chant.
Yes.
I did. I don't know about the chant, but
yeah,
I don't know the mystical chant for that one.
Well, I wanted to say that browsing the web is not recommended, and that some media-rich sites are slow, like YouTube, and it hangs constantly. However, I think I was proven wrong today, like I am many times. Chris, you ran MyPal, which apparently is a fork of Firefox for this OS, and it actually runs surprisingly well.
Yeah, I was really surprised about that. I found it right before we started recording. The browser is called MyPal. It is a fork. It is based on Pale Moon, which is a fork of Firefox. But while based on Pale Moon, it is continually adapted for and optimized for, and to this day maintained for Windows XP and 2003. So it loads all modern sites. It loads them quickly. It seems to do a fantastic job. Gets a 99 out of 100 on the ACID 3 test. I know ACID 3 is old at this point, but I needed something to test it with. Plays YouTube decently well. It's, I would say, your best bet. Because really, your only other options are Auto Browser, which doesn't run, or Kmillion, which is broken for the most part. You'll maybe get a few pages open before it just falls apart on you.
Another thing, before anybody wonders No, you can't just grab.
Firefox.
Right. You can't just grab a new version of Chrome or Firefox and have it work. It won't work. So you need to pick the one that's on the application manager. That one, I think it was Firefox 48. I'm not 100% sure at this point, but it was an older version and that seemed to work okay. As far as Firefox 48 is concerned or whatever that version was, but MyPal seemed to work the best. So, recommended if you're going to run ReactOS to use MyPal. How did you find it, Chris? Did you actually download the binary or did you use the application manager?
I was curious about more web browsers and that the application manager had available. So I just searched for a browser and saw MyPal and just stumbled on it.
Okay. Well, other than those from the application manager, it is not advisable to run other applications. I mean, you could try it, but you might be asking for a crash. I got a bunch of blue screens of death. Although I was kind of nostalgic about it, I haven't seen a blue screen of death in a while. After a while, you're like, okay, this was nice. So there's that. And one other thing, somehow ReactOS, I've never seen any OS crash VirtualBox, but this OS managed. And I thought it was like for me, it was like, whoa. I don't want to say that was on my bucket list of things to do, which is crash VirtualBox, but holy crap, man, I can check that off now. I took a picture of it. It actually crashed VirtualBox several times. And like I said, I've installed a lot of OSs in VirtualBox, and they've never crashed VirtualBox. I don't know. Maybe I'm just, I run these simple OSs and they're not a big deal, and somebody out there runs a really complex engineering version of an OS. But anyway, for me, I don't really run anything like that, and this just managed to crash it multiple times. So you know what? Kudos, ReactOS. You managed to do something that I hadn't been able to do.
That never happened to me. I honestly don't know how that happened to you. You tried it on Windows and Mac OS. I think, Eric, we both tried it on Linux, so maybe VirtualBox is a bit hardier on Linux, but no telling what they did.
Maybe. I just took a screenshot of it just in case nobody believed me. It's proof.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, again, I know I'm sounding really critical about the OS right now, but you know what? It is an alpha state. I mean, it's an alpha state. So these bugs are going to be expected. And Chris, as you mentioned, it is a big deal to rewrite an operating system by not copying its code or anything like that, but by just seeing how the system calls are made and things like that. So kudos, ReactOS. That's pretty cool. And keep doing it and get to beta stage. But yeah.
But something that works perfectly, flawlessly, in fact, is the VirtualBox guest editions. So for people that have never used VirtualBox and don't know what those are, if you're running an operating system, it provides some nicer level of integration with your desktop and with VirtualBox itself. For example, instead of having to manually change the screen resolution of the virtual machine, you can resize the window and it will then dynamically resize the screen resolution to the window size. It will give you things like clipboard integration, so what you copy and paste in the host OS and vice versa will be available on the virtual machine and vice versa. It also provides file sharing between the host OS and the virtual machine, and that works perfectly. And mouse integration. So it doesn't have to capture and take over the mouse from the host operating system. So all of that mouse integration, dynamic screen resizing, and file sharing works perfectly with the VirtualBox guest editions under ReactOS.
Good to know. Did anybody try to install any games?
I installed the Diablo 2 demo. I installed Super Tux. Maybe one or two others. Most of them ran like garbage.
Oh, yeah. Okay. I was just wondering what kind of experience you had. running them.
Some of the games, I noticed, I was trying to actually play a game that I was curious it would actually be on ReactOS, because it's always been on Windows for its entire life.
Ski free.
And it wasn't there. Solitaire.
Oh.
Oh,
What?
There is no Solitaire.
Yeah, there is. It's pre-installed.
What?
Yeah, just go to Programs Games. It's right there.
What?
Maybe it's not called Solitaire then. Maybe it's called Solitaire.
Yeah, you're right. It is. It is actually there. It just wasn't in the package manager, so I was confused.
I'm playing it right now. Man, I suck at Solitaire. I really suck at it. Okay.
I'm doing something that I never thought I would do in a long time. Actually, right now.
Play Solitaire.
I'm running Merc.
You know what?
Merc.
You know what?
Using the IRC client, MIRC.
Oh wow.
Oh man. You know what? We really need to find out if it runs on ReactOS. Space Pinball.
Ooh.
That was the best pinball game.
Yes. And there's actually I saw this whole thing on YouTube about
it.
It
was pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah. So we had a list of working applications. I mean, you have the Chameleon web browser that worked. VLC works. Audacity barely works. Notepad++ seemed to work. VirtualBox guest editions, as you mentioned, Chris, works. SuperTux apparently has some sound issues. LibreOffice, apparently the cursor is invisible. And old versions of Firefox, as previously mentioned. We do have some non-working applications that we tried and they just wouldn't work, like modern web browsers. YouTube DL, I think this is the program that downloads YouTube videos to your computer. And Steam, which is a real bummer because that would have been a great way to test out some games, just downloading them off Steam. But yeah, sadly, it didn't work either. Hopefully another version will work with that. Have you found pinball yet, or are you looking for it?
I am looking for it, honestly. And when you search for it, it's a whole bunch of really spammy sites. I'm probably infecting ReactOS right now as we speak.
It's over.
Yeah. It's Oh, wait. That one may have been it. Games. Okay. Pinball. Oh shit! It runs.
It runs.
I don't have.
That's it.
I don't have sound.
I say remove all your OSs and use it as a production OS.
Wait, hang on. New game. How do you launch it again?
Spacebar? Huh?
Yeah.
Okay, it starts and it shows the pinball machine, but it doesn't actually do anything. Nope. Okay, podcast over. Can't run 3D Space Pinball.
Can't use the OS as a main production OS then.
Nope.
Well, I mean, I don't know if you guys have anything else to say about the OS.
What else? It's really impressive that they got Butterfest going. It continually gets attention at Google Summer of Code.
Google Summer of Code is how they got that BT, the Butterfest on ReactOS, I think.
Yeah. What I would personally like to use it for, I keep a Windows XP virtual machine around because it is the easiest way to flash stuff to my flashable Game Boy cartridge. I would love to be able to use ReactOS for that. And unfortunately, it won't let me install the driver. I'm gonna try to work on that again. But even though it's crashy and buggy,
even on the new version,
haven't tried yet
on 4.10.
But even though it's crashy and buggy, if it can do that one thing, I would be using it much more.
How about you, Eric? Do you have anything else you want to add to the OS? Anything?
Well, I mean, it's pretty cool. I do wish that it did run iTunes, but that's just I haven't found anything that can run iTunes well besides Apple macOS. So,
Yeah.
Oh,
other than that, I mean, it looks pretty cool.
there is another web
Yeah.
browsing option that I forgot to mention. The Wine version of Internet Explorer. It comes pre-installed.
Huh.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Does it
Really?
does it run better than my pal?
No. It's, think like
Probably not.
emulating Internet Explorer 6.
Oh, yeah, and that they have Wine Mine too. Minesweeper and Wine.
Oh.
After you. Sorry, Euro.
I was just gonna say I got the perfect version of running modern web browsers on ReactOS. All you gotta do is RDP to a new computer. What?
There is that. As far as their cooperation with Wine, that's kind of interesting. So, for anyone that does not know what Wine is, it is a compatibility layer for Linux and Unix for you to run Windows software. It takes Windows system calls, translates them to Linux and Unix system calls, and it can run a lot of Windows programs like that. So, ReactOS has collaborated with the Wine project, and it uses portions of Wine so that it can benefit from Wine's progress in implementing the Win32 API. So this is straight from Wikipedia, while Wine's NTDLL, User32, Kernel32, GDI32, and ADVAPI32 components cannot be used directly by ReactOS due to architectural differences. Code snippets of them and other parts can be shared between both projects. The kernel is developed by ReactOS separately, as Wine relies heavily on Unix-like kernels.
Yeah, I'm glad that cooperation's happening, especially since Wine gets updated frequently.
Oh, and the ReactOS's network stack is built on the TCP portion of OSKit's port of the network stack in FreeBSD.
Well, look at that.
Oh, wow.
Is that often updated? I think FreeBSD and
Yes.
I think of all these little operating systems.
Yeah, FreeBSD is a big player, is the biggest player in the traditional Unix world.
Okay. Well, I just wanted to say that, I mean, for an OS, again, I mean, I've said this before, but for an OS that was reverse engineered from a commercial OS, honestly, it's not a bad attempt. It's far from perfect. I think given some time and probably more resources dedicated to it, it might turn into something that, you know, it might turn out to be a pretty decent OS actually, and a good alternative to Windows. As I said in the earlier on this podcast, I'm just concerned that the problem would be that by the time this OS becomes fully usable, it would be hopelessly outdated, kind of like how it is right now. So they would definitely have to play catch up on that. But you know, it's a good effort, and I say that you know, keep it going, guys.
I just found the number one reason to use ReactOS. Do you remember the Hover game from Windows 95?
Yeah, didn't it? Yes, I do. It's a first-person racing game.
Yeah, it's in the package.
Didn't you bump into each other and stuff?
Yeah, it's in the package manager, and it works. That is all you need.
Time to uninstall Linux
That's
and
pretty
install
good
ReactOS.
reason, yes.
I think you forgot the GNU/.
I'm sorry, what? We should end it right there.
Okay, I'm done.
Wait, what? Cut.
That's all I have about ReactOS.
All right. Well, this has been really fun. Actually, using the OS was pretty fun in itself. I mean, it wasn't frustrating because it's not like I had anything important running on it, so it was more fun than anything else. So, you know, this podcast was fun, and I think ReactOS made a besides, of course, talking to you gentlemen, ReactOS played a big part in making this even a more fun experience. So, well, thanks everybody for joining us, and hopefully we create another podcast in this century.
Oh, we will, and it'll be about Haiku OS.
That OS was awesome.
Haiku.
Yeah.
And that's all I'm gonna say. Not was, is. What am I talking about? It's not like it exploded and there's no more haiku. So, yes, stay tuned.
Gentlemen, thank you both. This was fantastic. It's good to... Eric, it's very good to have you back.
Yes, it's awesome. Glad to be back.
Yeah, man. We refused to do the episodes with you. So it was like, oh, well, he's not available till next week. We're going to wait. Yeah. Yeah, so. Cool. That's it.
Good night.
Yeah, and I gotta say, playing with ReactOS was rather cool. I mean, I haven't seen anything like this before, and for what this has accomplished, it's pretty impressive.
Agreed.
Agreed.
All right. Good night.
Good night.